Welcome back, everybody, to AFL Advance. This is Josh, and Stokes is with me today, and we are going to preview Week 4 coming up in AFL. And Stokes, it kicks off with my game as my Chicago Bears, who are now 2-1, travel to Lambeau Field to take on Fisher's Green Bay Packers. I'm really excited about this game. Fisher's 3-0. It's my first division matchup of the season. I can already tell you that my defense has played really well the last 2 weeks, haven't given up a touchdown. That's going to be a struggle against Aaron Rodgers and that Packers offense. I hope my defense can bring it this week. Offensively, still figuring some things out. Keith Marshall took over the running back starting job last week with a touchdown through the air, on the ground, and in the return game. So now Jordan Howard is on the bench. I'm not going to predict my own game. How do you think this one goes in Lambeau?
I think this is a really good game. Fisher is playing a lot better than I expected of him for this year. I'm going to go with the Bears here because if he wins this one, then I'll start picking him again. I picked against him last week against JD, or whenever he played JD the last time I was on, and he won that game. So yeah, I'm picking the Bears here.
You know, I think that's going to be a theme this week, is some of the guys that are undefeated are going to have their first real test of the season. I don't want to say that about Fisher. He's had a good schedule, but as we get down this schedule here, there's going to be guys that have had a lot of wins that I think are going to have their first real tough contest, and it's going to be interesting to see if, pretenders are contenders as we go through this week. So 9:30 in the morning on Sunday in London, England, Prime's Miami Dolphins host JT's New Orleans Saints. This is a really fun game. Right now, the Saints are 1-1. They haven't played their Week 3 game against the Panthers at the time we're recording this. Prime is 2-1, won 2 in a row after losing Week 1 to JD. Prime's had a couple good wins over Swag and RVD. I think he's still fighting with consistency a little bit. Was able to pull away from Swag last week. The last time JT was on the field, he lost in blowout fashion to Quinn's Patriots. Quinn's an elite player. That can happen. I think I'm going to go with Prime here. I think he's a guy that's really good. He's built this roster a way he likes it, and I think he's starting to get comfortable with that roster. So I'm going to pick the Dolphins to win, but I think this is a flip of the coin game.
I tend to agree. JT, I've played him 3 times now, and he's been playing very well. And I think that this is, as you said, it's going to be a coin flip game. And I'm gonna ride with Prime because I think that JT has a propensity to play a little carelessly in game, and I think that'll hurt him here. And I think that Prime will continue his consistent play and win this game.
A game I'm really looking forward to is going to be in Atlanta this week, Stokes, as Costa's Atlanta Falcons 2-1 after the big win against KK the Destroyer's Lions last week, where Tevin Coleman ran for almost 300 yards. He may have actually broken 300. I'm not sure about that. Go against Nino's 3-0 Buffalo Bills. Nino needed an overtime victory against Rod in Week 2 to stay undefeated, and then I'm having some old man memory loss. I forget who Nino played Week 3. Oh, he played A-Bomb, so he was able to give A-Bomb his first loss of the season, and now he's going to try to stay undefeated in Atlanta, where Costa's Falcons are playing really well. They did have that one hiccup against Fisher in Week 2 where the Packers won in Atlanta, so even though Costa's 2-1, he's yet to win in his own building, and I don't think he's going to get his first home victory this week. It's hard for me to pick against Nino. I think there is a huge roster discrepancy here. I give Costa a fighting chance, but I just feel like Nino's probably one of those guys that has run D for days, and Tevin Coleman is going to have a tough time getting going. Maybe I'm wrong and Coleman will take it over, but for now I'm going to pick the Bills, but I think it could be a close game.
Yeah, this is, I think, one of the biggest tests this week. Costa, that running game against Nino, who's Nino, and I'm gonna pick Costa because I'm expecting Tevin Coleman to get loose, and if Costa can play careful football, which is to not go at Nino, even though it may seem like it's the right thing to do, just don't do it. And if he just takes punts instead of giving up interceptions, I think he can win this game. It's tough to stop offensively, but I think the Falcons' defense is ridiculous. I'm going to pick Costa in this game.
All right, two AFC North teams do battle this week as Field of Dreams Ravens host Flip Steelers. Flip Steelers are 0-3 off to a tough start, and same can be said for the Ravens, who won week 1 against SJR's Browns but have yet to win again. Now they've fallen to 1-2. Both of these teams desperately need to win if they want to stay in the AFC playoff race. It's desperate times now in Baltimore. At some point, I feel like it's going to click for Flip. I know he was your preseason prediction to win the AFC North, and now he's gotten off to a really rough 0-3 start. It really came crumbling down this past week, losing 47-0 to my Bears. There's still a lot of talent on that Steelers roster. I think it's going to click at some point, and I haven't seen enough from Frank to just say it's an auto win for him. I'm going to go with an upset here. And to me, it's more about I don't see Flip as an 0-4 player, and I don't see the Steelers as an 0-4 roster. I'm going to say the Steelers find a way to bounce back from that big loss last week and squeak out of Baltimore with a win.
I'm going to agree. I think that, as you said, it's one of these times it's going to, click for Flip. And I think that team is too good for him to be 0-4. And Frank, I've seen a couple of his games, and he looks good. I just think this game, Flip is going to figure out whatever he needs to figure out, and he's going to win.
Speaking of that AFC North, another battle of division rivals here as the Battle of Ohio, as Kreppel's 3-0 Browns take on SJR's 0-3 Bengals. Now for SJR, it's been a rough road. He lost a close game week 1 to the Ravens. He had a lead against you in week 2 and ended up losing that. And then in week 3, he had every opportunity to beat the Packers and ended up giving it away late on a really bad interception. So the Bengals are a tough 0-3. Conversely, the Browns squeaked out of Indianapolis last week with their 3rd win of the season, and I thought Magic had all the opportunity in the world to win that game. We'll talk about that when we talk about the Colts game this week. But for me, the Browns also playing without one of their best cornerbacks. I think this is one of those regression to the means kind of week. I don't necessarily think Kreppel's an undefeated type player, and I don't think SJR is a winless type player. I think SJR has been playing well in defeats, and I think Kreppel's been playing a little shaky in victory. So I'm going to say that the Bengals find a way to win, get their first win of the season, and the Browns get their first loss of the season.
I mean, it's a trend, but I mean, I tend to agree. I think that SJR has these mental breakdowns within the game. I mean, it happened in his game against me, and then in his game against Fisher. I don't know what it is. He just plays well, and then all of a sudden he just says, screw it, and does something dumb, and it ends up costing him the victory. And I think that this game is going to come down to one of those types of situations and whether he can keep from that. And I expect him to. He's going to be, he's going to want this game more than Kreppel, I think. Yes, yeah.
In Dallas, we have Roman's Dallas Cowboys, who got a big first win of the season last week against Reese's Arizona Cardinals. Reese was previously 2-0, and the Cowboys were winless. The Cowboys were on the road on Monday Night Football and got a big 38-35 win. I know that felt good for Roman because he was similar to SJR, where he was playing really well in defeat. That was a big win for him. The task doesn't get any easier this week as he takes on another NFC West team, Joker's LA Rams. Now, we haven't seen Joker since week 1 when he got blown out by Magic. Week 2, unfortunately, he took a forced loss because he was out of town for traveling for the weekend. And then week 3, he has yet to play his game against Danny. They are scheduled for this evening. So Joker, to me, is quite the unknown how he's going to respond from that Magic loss. I wouldn't expect Joker to be a bad team this year. And I'm also been kind of impressed with what I've seen for Roman. I don't really have any kind of analysis for why I say the Rams are going to win this game. I just feel like Joker is too good to be 0-2 in user games, not knowing what happens against Danny. So I just feel like, and Joker, to me, has what Roman doesn't have. Roman's one of those guys that'll keep it close and find a way to beat himself with one really headache play, where Joker seems more composed. So I'm going to pick the Rams, but I don't feel super confident about it.
402. That is the amount of passing yards Roman gave up against Reese. So I'm going to go with the Rams here for that sole reason. He's going to get torched.
And that Rams wide receiver core consists of Sammy Watkins and Antonio Brown. They don't have Tavon Austin anymore. They traded him to the Vikings last week. All right, Stokes. This one is one that the entire league has been waiting for ever since team selection was settled. In Houston, your 3-0 Houston Texans, fresh off of a victory in Foxborough over Hitman's New England Patriots, take on the undefeated Tennessee Titans and MVP. Now, I've had a chance to watch a couple of MVP streams, and this Titans team seems like a match made in heaven for the way he plays. Mariota's speed, his throw on the run, the way MVP plays, and the way MVP also has a way of mixing in the run, and he has Murray and Henry. It can be a headache. I've also seen you play, and you're getting loose with Corey Grant in the running game. Your defense looks really well. I'm excited about this game. Before I make my prediction, I just want to hear your thoughts on this game. Obviously not from a prediction standpoint, but just give the league a preview of what you're thinking about this game.
He and I played last week in PS4, so I got to see what he likes to do firsthand, and he got to see what I like to do firsthand. So I'm expecting that this game is going to be a close one, and it'll come down to the mistakes. I mean, just with any game he and I play, whoever makes the fewest mistakes tends to win the game. And if you make one mistake, it can snowball for the rest of the game because you're behind the 8 ball and you're chasing. So I expect that it'll be a low-scoring game, and that's typically what I expect. I mean, Mariota is going to be tough to get hold of because he's fast and he can throw, and MVP has a nice offense. So I think it'll still be a close, low-scoring game.
Well, I'm going to give the edge, and this is going to pain me to say this, to the Titans in this game. I think MVP is playing really well, obviously on offense, but I think what goes unsaid about him is how good he is on defense. I think he has an ability to bait people into bad throws. Now, you're not much of a thrower, so that may not be the case, but I just really like what I'm seeing out of MVP right now, so I would pick the Titans to win this game, but this is another one of those flip-of-the-coin games, and I'm also ecstatic that you're both undefeated in the first matchup of many between Stokes and MVP in AFL. Let's talk about my division now, as Mustangs Vikings, who started off 0-1 and have since ripped off 2 wins in a row, including blowing out JD's Bucks last week, come home to host KK the Destroyer's Detroit Lions. They're 1-2 after the big loss to Costa's Falcons last week. I'm really impressed by Mustang. He had that really heartbreaking week 1 loss to JT where he had a big lead and blew it, and then he goes on the road and gets a big win in Pittsburgh, and then comes back last week and wins a game that not many people predicted him to win in Tampa Bay. Or I'm sorry, that game was in Minnesota against the Bucks, but JD's a guy that all of us picked to win that division he's in on as far as voting as a league, and Mustang's been really impressive this year. KK's a guy that we know is good, but doesn't necessarily have the roster. Mustang did make the trade for Tavon Austin last week. I'm going to stick with Mustang and the Vikings. I like what I'm seeing out of him. He's playing smart football. I think the Vikings find a way to win this game in Minnesota.
I co-sign every part of that. I think KK's roster is just not ready for. He's a talented player, and I think he's going to be a headache for the NFC North for the seasons to come. But I don't think it's his time yet.
All right, Stokes, a guy you just got done playing, Hitman and the New England Patriots, stay home and they take on Rod's Carolina Panthers. Now, the last time we saw Rod on the field was week 2 against Nino when he had a heartbreaking overtime loss, but what was lost in that was a very clutch fourth quarter drive to take the lead before Nino tied it up heading into overtime. And then the last time we saw Hitman on the field was about 5 minutes ago when his Patriots lost a fairly close game to your Texans. So now Hitman is 1-2 and Rod is 1-1 with his matchup coming tonight against the Saints. I'm going to go with Hitman here. I was worried about him after week 1's loss to Sham, but I saw enough good things in his game against you today, and I saw some really good things in his game against JT. I know he's not feeling Madden 18 too much at this point. He's made some comments to that respect, which makes me hesitant to pick him, because a lot of times if you're bitter about something, it can just take your interest away in practicing and getting better. But I think he's too good. I think that roster is too good. I think it's all going to come together this week. I'm looking forward to this game because after Rod played Nino so close, he has another shot at an elite player. But for now, I'm going to put my chips on the Patriots.
Man, this game is really, really tough to pick because I just saw Dan, and it was very, very difficult for me to, pull away from that game, and I really didn't. It was a close one all the way through. But I'm gonna go ahead and pick Rod in this one, and I don't really have a reason why. I just think that he played very, very well against Nino, and I'm expecting that he is going to come through in this game. I don't really have any conviction because Dan played well, and I'm just gonna pick Rod.
All right, Stokes, Swag's New York Jets. They had a week 1 loss to Nino. That was pretty close. Then they go to Oakland and win. And then last week they lose to Prime's Dolphins in what was really a close game before Prime pulled away late. They take on the 1-1 Jaguars, who have yet to play their week 3 game. Now, week 1, Oh, they did play. What happened in the Jaguars week 3 game?
27-6, he beat Frank.
Wow, the Jaguars. Let's take a look at that. So I missed that one. So the Jaguars beat Frank 27-6 after Stokes, what I believe you would call was an impressive defeat last week against MVP. Hung with MVP in week 2 for a while, had several interceptions in that game. You were even telling me in private chat, like, hey, Livingston's hanging with MVP. His defensive strategy is interesting to see here. So I don't think he's the pushover that we all were thinking after the week 1 loss to you. I think that may have just been one of those games that happens to all of us where the snowball effect happens and you just can't get out of your own way. And then from Swag's standpoint, I saw some really good things in his game against Prime. He was making some good runs. He still has those moments in the passing game where he makes a throw and you're just wondering what it is he saw out there. I'm going to say Swag wins this game, and I'm going to give you one very key stat. Not a stat, but just a logic here. Well, I could, you know what? I'll even give you the stat because this is AFL Advance, and we don't mess around on this show. As I'm stalling to get you the stat, week 1, the Jaguars gave up 331 yards rushing to you and the Houston Texans. Most of that was Corey Grant, yes. But what Swag likes to do is run the rock. And if he can stay consistent with Todd Gurley, I think Gurley's going to have a big day, and Swag will do just enough on defense to get his Jets a win. I think Swag's playing really well and had a couple of hard luck losses, but this to me is a flip of the coin game.
I am going to go with Livingston here. Swag is just so inconsistent when it comes to passing the ball, and he just gets in his own way when it comes to that respect. So if Livingston can load up essentially on first down or first and second down to key on the run and force Swag to pass, he's going to throw interceptions for days, and that's what I expect in this game.
All right, Stokes, one of my favorite games on the schedule this week is going to be played in Arizona as Reese's 2-1 Arizona Cardinals take on Danny's 2-0 San Francisco 49ers. They will play their Week 3 game later tonight against Joker's Rams. Danny's playing very well despite the fact we all agree he has a deficient roster. Reese, up until last week when he lost a heartbreaker to Roman, was playing very well. I think this is going to be the beginning of what's going to be a very fun rivalry to track in AFL. I said to RVD last week that I can't pick against Danny now. He's made me look bad 2 weeks in a row. I don't know what happened in the Joker game, but I picked him to beat Joker. And here I am, I'm going to contradict myself. I don't know what happened in the Joker game. I'm going to give the edge to Reese. I still think he has a very solidly built team. I know he made some trades that not a lot of people agreed with. I think that loss last week against Roman was more of an aberration and not what we can expect from Reese. I think he's going to get back on track this week. I wouldn't be surprised if the Niners win, but I think talent-wise, I think the roster is so much better for the Cardinals. Danny might be a little bit more talented than Reese Madden-wise based on AFL history, but I think the Cardinals win this game.
I'm going to go with the Niners in this one. It was a good game for Reese to lose because it would allow him to recalibrate himself, but I think that this first time against Danny, he's not going to know what to expect fully from Danny, and I'm expecting Danny to come out with this win for the first time. Just as the feeling out process continues for Danny and Reese, it's going to be a good battle for the division, but I expect Danny to win this game.
Now let's go to the Los Angeles Chargers and RVD. They're 0-3 on the season, lost last week to Shams Chiefs. They welcome in another winless team, the 0-2 Philadelphia Eagles and Emo. Haven't seen much out of either one of these guys that would give you a lot of confidence to pick them. I'm going to go with RVD though. I think he's still too good to see as an 0-4 player. Don't know enough about Emo at this point. I'm not going to be surprised either way, but maybe I'm picking with my heart here, Stokes, but I just have a hard time seeing RVD as an 0-4 guy to start the season.
There's no analysis here. Eric's going to lose this game. Not good right now.
Stokes tree.
Yes, indeed.
All right, Stokes, I'm really looking forward to this game because coming into this season, these were two guys that we would have all considered Super Bowl contenders, especially in the NFC that didn't have the elite powerhouses we're so accustomed to. And now it could be desperation time in Tampa Bay. We know that JD's Bucks are 1-2 going into this game. On the flip side, E-Dub's Giants, they're 1-1, haven't played this week. They do play Emo, so I'm sure Stokes is going to go ahead and say the Giants are 2-1. But either way, these are guys that have struggled in spots this season. E-Dub didn't look particularly good in his victory week 1 against Roman either. There was a lot of stuff Roman did wrong to make that happen. I think these guys will eventually find their stride in Madden 18, but right now I think they're both struggling with some things. I'm going to pick JD. I don't have a lot of confidence in my reason for saying this, except for the fact that I think he's looking at some things he's been doing wrong. I think he's been making reads in this game that made sense last year that aren't making sense this year. I think he's starting to look at himself and figure out what he needs to do with this Buccaneers team because he has a completely different roster in PS4 with the Falcons that are loaded. I'm going to pick JD to win this game. I'm super excited to watch this stream. I don't really have a strong reason other than the fact that I think JD has a great feel for defense in this game, and I think this is going to come down to whichever one struggles the most offensively, and from what I've seen from E-Dub offensively, I think the picks are going to be there if JD is locked in on defense, so I think the Bucks win a close one.
E-Dub started out with Davis Webb, I think, in the game against KK, and then he put in Eli. If he starts Davis Webb again, I expect JD to win the game because JD, he always has a good defense. So if he goes with Davis Webb, I expect there to be a few picks, and I think the game will spiral out of control for him. So I expect if he's going to start Eli, I would pick E-Dub, but I don't think he's gonna. So I'm going to pick JD.
All right, let's talk about an AFC West matchup this week as A-Bomb's 2-1 Denver Broncos host Bo's Oakland Raiders. The Raiders are 0-2, have yet to play their Week 3 game. A-Bomb suffered his first loss last week in Buffalo against Nino. I'm going to pick Bo here. I think Bo is better than what he's getting credit for, and I think A-Bomb, to me, had a couple of good wins early, but I think Bo is a guy that is going to find a way to win this game. I don't have a whole lot of analysis for this. I can't say I've watched either one of them too much on stream, but I just like that Raiders roster. I know what RVD's told me about Bo's skill level. I'm not going to pound the table for either of these guys to win this game, but I'm just going to go with a hunch that the Raiders find their way into the win column.
16. That's the number of interceptions David Carr has thrown in 2 games. I'm going to go with the Broncos.
Oh my God. As somebody who didn't play much Madden CFM last year, what would 16 interceptions in 2 games do to somebody's confidence, Stokes?
It usually takes it down the max of 3 a game, unfortunately. But your personal confidence, probably minus 50.
Those are 2 different conversations, I suppose. All right, well, let's talk about our guy Magic. He is 1-2 after shocking the world Week 1 against Joker. Last week he had a very letdown loss to the Browns. He had every chance to win it there on the last drive. It looked like Philip Dorsett was going to score. Not only did he not score, but he ends up injuring himself and he's out for 3 weeks. Magic had a receiver open in the end zone, Kamar Aiken, and he dropped the ball at the end of the game, and that would have been the game-winning touchdown. So disappointing for him. Now he has to lick his wounds and go to another team that's very frustrating. This is going to be the Frustration Bowl as the 0-3 Seahawks and T-Mag are looking for their first win of the year. They've had 2 close games and then a loss to MVP. I want to pick Magic here, but I'm going to go with the Seahawks for a couple of reasons. One, Magic is a pass-happy guy. I think he does well in the passing game, but they don't call it the Legion of Boom for nothing. They are devastating. 2, the way T-Mag plays offense, I'm not sure if Magic's going to be ready to stop it. T-Mag will just run it down your throat with inside zone all day long until you stop it. And again, like I said to RVD, I have a hard time believing that somebody can just open the game of Madden up out of the box, play a game, and be good at it. I think you need to practice some things, and I don't think Magic is practicing it. I hope he proves me wrong. I'd like to see Magic have some success, but for now I'm going to pick the Seahawks.
Oh yeah, against MVP, Le'Veon Bell had 171 yards rushing, even though he lost that game 41-14. So even though he was losing the game pretty badly, he was still giving the ball to Le'Veon Bell. So I am expecting that to be the case in this game, and I would expect the game to be a little bit closer than that, and Le'Veon is going to take over towards the end, so I'm going to pick the Seahawks.
That game is happening on Sunday Night Football under the lights. And to round out the week on Monday Night Football under the lights, we head to Arrowhead and the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs, Stokes. And they get back Patrick Mahomes this week off an injury. I can't confirm who's starting that game. I did reach out to Sham earlier to see if I can get an answer before we recorded. My hunch is that he's going to go with Mahomes because Sham told me last night that Alex Smith has already regressed 2 points. That's not a good look, even though he's played well. And they welcome in Bailey's Washington Redskins. I am excited about this game for a number of reasons. For one, for Sham, he's 3-0, but this is one of those prove-it games. Here comes a guy that 2 people on our preseason prediction show picked to go to the Super Bowl, and 1 person picked to win the Super Bowl. From Bailey, we haven't heard from him since week 1. He beat Emo's Eagles. Week 2, he gets a forced win over Joker. And week 3, he has yet to play his game against the Raiders. So Bailey, to me, is still very much a wild card. I'm going to go with my guy Sham. I've picked against him 3 times. He's made me look bad. I am going to just ride this Chiefs wave. I believe in Sham. I think it's fun to see him do well. I think Mahomes comes back off an injury. It's going to be under the lights at Arrowhead. For what it's worth, I don't know how much it matters in the video game, but if this was real life NFL, I would say that, the crowd's going to be fired up to see their guy come back under center. I think the Chiefs find a way to win this game against Bailey.
I'm not going to be a believer just yet. I'm going to pick against Sam. I'm going to pick the Washington football team to win this one. If Sham wins this game, I will start picking him.
If you start picking him, do you think he'll get a big head?
Yes.
All right, Stokes. Well, there's no secret about it. You and I have 2 of the more intriguing matchups on the schedule. Both of them are for first place in our respective divisions, and we talked about them both in length. So now, as we pick spotlight games of the week, let's both shy away from the 2 games that we're both participating in and find games that don't involve either of us. And I am going to go down and look right at the EW-JD game. To me, I love the fact that both of these, and I don't love it that they're struggling, but I love for the drama of this game that JD is 1-2. I would guess that the Giants are going to be 2-1, but neither one of these guys wants to get another loss this season. I think it's going to have almost a playoff atmosphere feel to it because both of these guys are just trying to get on a win streak, try to get on a roll. I'm excited to see what these 2 proven Madden AFL beasts have to offer. Both of these guys have Super Bowl wins on their resume. EW has 2. Shout out to my 2 group there. But I'm so much looking forward to this game in Tampa Bay. I don't really know who's going to win. I know I picked JD, but I just want to watch it happen. Stokes, what's your spotlight game this week?
My spotlight game will be Buffalo at Atlanta. It's a really, really interesting game for me. I think Costa's team is much better than Nino's team, but Nino as a player is historically a much better player than Costa. So it's going to be a battle of wills and a battle to see who is going to be more careful with the football. So that's the game I'm most interested in watching. But there's like 8-9 games that I'm interested in watching this week. It's going to be great.
I love this week, Stokes. We got the London game between the Saints and the Dolphins with all kinds of implications in that one. We have the SJR against Kreppel game where SJR is desperate for a win. We're going to see if Kreppel's for real this week. Is Roman going to keep it going after that win against Reese last week against Joker? What's Joker about? Haven't seen him on the field since last week. Not to mention Stokes versus MVP, Danny versus Reese. This is a great week. I'm excited for it, and I can't wait to see what happens. So for Stokes, this is Josh, and we will see you next time on AFL Advance. Enjoy the Week 4 games, everybody. Good luck to you and your teams, and we'll see you next time.